That worries me. That worries. Like I lied to a man about a check. That worries me. That worries me. Some of this here, they'll charge mine a good deal. It's a good day for a paper copy. I drove the bus, well not the bus, the baseball practice, one of them last night. Till I get, just tell that folk I got a day off. Yep, partner budget. Sure. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's go there. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw somebody tell her she was pressing the gas. I thought it was gonna come out of the outlet. Yeah, no, okay, fine. I saw she was advertising it for one gallon, gallon. Okay. Oh, no. While we're talking on that, I had my no, no, it's on the agenda. It on that presents? That's that resolution for the infra grant application. For which grant? Infra grant. Okay. Good news. Federal money. Right. We hope 70 a year. Oh, federal. For that, supplement. Yeah, we're gonna ask for a bunch and they give us whatever. Right, yeah. Yeah. I'll email her.
Got a good crowd here today on rainy, well, what's new? I don't think this is anything new, it's rainy February. Uh, welcome to the committee meeting for the Jefferson County Commission. Commissioner Ammons had an emergency at home. His mother fell, and they have her in the emergency room. I think they're going to put staples in her head, so it's pretty serious. So yeah, that we will remember him in our prayers. Commissioner Scales will be here shortly. I spoke with her this morning, and but we will need to go ahead. We have several guests here today, and we need to go ahead and get started. So everyone, please bow their heads. I'll leave it to the Lord of prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for all these assembled here today to do Your business. Dear Lord, as we begin to do this business, let's remember the sick amongst us and touch them with Your healing hands. Dear Lord, let's remember the coronavirus that's affecting people worldwide. And let's work together through communications, cooperation, and coordination to make sure that this dreaded virus does not spread any further. Dear Lord, I ask that You keep us, guide us, and protect us, and draw us closer to Thee. Give us the wisdom, the strength, the courage, and the guidance to do what is right in Thy name. I ask These things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Let's begin with 5. We're going to go backwards today because we have several speakers and announcements. Number 5 is going to be Commissioner Hammond. We're going to begin with information technology. City of Vestavia, Jefferson County Commission cost sharing agreement for.
I'm gonna move 1 and 2.
Thank you. 1 and 2 have been moved. Need a second. Commission. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have a move the grant.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Now, and we have someone from Vulcan to come speak to it on that. Now you just been approved, so
maybe I should go. So I'll be very brief. I've left you a couple of handouts and to call your attention. You know, Vulcan Park and Museum is both of those things. It's a park and it's a museum. And so what this really provides you is a bulletin list of all the things we do across the year as a park to really bring vibrancy to the community. Things like the fireworks, the birthday bash every year for Vulcan, where we have about 1,500 family, children and parents come to the park. We have an awards every year for community leaders and heroes that is a nomination process, and then the holiday lights that you can probably see in front of a lot of areas in the community. So that's the community side. And then on the history and exhibitions and education, I've only been there since April, and one of the things I really didn't know was the rich offering of programs for the schools in the area. And so this is a list, and behind this we have a brief amount of information on each of these things that we do. But I'll just call your attention to one thing that's coming up very soon that I want you to be aware of. So we have a gallery, the Lynn Henley Gallery, that changes its exhibit every year. And this year we just put up an exhibit about the suffrage movement in Alabama in celebration of 100 years of women voting. And as part of that, we were successful getting a grant from Junior League and the Alabama State Council on the Arts to create a play about Patty Ruffner Jacobs. And Patty Ruffner Jacobs was active nationally and locally in the 1920s and before to get that passed. And so what we're really excited about, where we could use help of everyone in this room, is that we are going to have this play performed not only the premiere at the museum, but we're taking it to the Lyric Theater, and we have grants that cover free passes for children ages 4th through the 12th grade in Title I schools. And so we'll have a showing at 9 o'clock that morning with 600 students, and then at 12 o'clock with 600 students. We've always taken the plays to the schools, and we'll do that during the year, but we're excited for the children to come to the Lyric Theater and have that experience in the rebuilt space and see a real live play. So we're just very appreciative of this opportunity to tell you about things we're doing at Vulcan, and I thank you for your time. I said I would be brief, especially since the vote has occurred.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
You said the play will be on the 100 years for our voting, when right to vote.
It is the story of Patty Rucker Jacobs,
I
of
know
her
exactly what
efforts
she is.
to, so the play is really about her. It was commissioned, we commissioned it, a UAB professor wrote the play. It will be performed by local actors, and it is aligned with the school's civics and history curriculum. So for children at Title I schools, anyone in this room, if you know a teacher at a school, and if it's not a Title I school, the children can come. We do charge $8 per child if you're not from an underserved.
So what day you said that's gonna be on?
March 17th.
Might write that down. What time?
The 12 o'clock has a lot of seats. The 9 o'clock is completely full, but we're still trying to fill with children at the 12 o'clock.
What's the charges, did you say?
For children from underserved school, Title I schools, there's no charge, and we even have grant funding to cover paying for the buses to bring the children, because as you know, sometimes there's no transportation, they can't come. And it's $8 per child for the children that are not at a Title I school.
Why don't you just make it free to everybody?
Well, we would love to. We would love to.
You don't have a year membership up there yet?
Hey, if you just read that resolution we just passed, I just put something. I ain't seen District 2 on there.
I ride on yours like you ride on mine.
I got my membership for a whole year. So I don't know, y'all slow.
All right, that concludes Commissioner Allen's report. Commissioner Wright, you asked to be next. Commissioner Scales is going to have to leave at 9:30. I assured her that we would probably be leaving by 9:30.
I'd like to go now if I can.
She would like to go down. That would be Commissioner Knight.
Do you mind?
You may.
Thank you. So for District 1, we have the Public Works, Community Services, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. We have no items, and as a matter of fact, the one for the infrastructure grant, we had already talked about it. It had gone through the system, so this is the printed version of that, so I'm going to withdraw that at this time. I did want to make an inquiry based upon, I asked about this last year as relates to security in the building, and we've since gotten an email from the courts as it relates to some concerns there. I have an inquiry in terms of Mr. Patella's has the security portion of the county, meaning the persons who are wearing the brown uniforms, are they still under general services, or where are they at this point?
They've been under general services from the beginning.
Right. Where are they now?
Under general services.
Because my understanding is there's supposed to be a separation of the security now that they're no longer under general services, and if so, why? And then I want to know where they're going for our own protection.
The two issues. As far as the judges, we met with the sheriff, met with some of the judges, and some of the criminal judges want more sheriff's deputies in the courtroom. They have arrest powers, they have and that's an issue that the sheriff is having to deal with, having more sheriff's deputies. As far as our security officers, we've had them under general services from the beginning of when we started having security officers in this building. Looking at issues that keep coming up, I have it on the agenda today under the county manager's office to make that a separate department. And I have that on, it's on the agenda for today.
So if you don't mind, before I leave, just for my own understanding, if they will be under a separate department and we are agreeing to this, which I won't be here, but my question would be, then where are they going? What department will they then function under?
They'll be reporting to the county manager's office as a department head.
Okay, so then they will be, now, one of the things that I did inquire about last year, which I spoke this in the committee meeting, was that there was some type of certification that they needed that the sheriff's office could provide. So under the county manager's department, would they be allowed to get that certification that they are in need of so that they can better protect the courthouse? Courthouses.
I'm not sure of what certification you're referring to.
In other words, they would be like an assistant deputy's level, so to speak. And that's what I was talking about when I asked the sheriff about that on last year. You may not recall this, but I mentioned it because I did have a concern that as we address issues as a commission, that we don't have any security on this floor. Anybody can roam around up there once they get on the second floor. I mean, they can just go where they want to. Now, I know that our offices, while the doors may be locked, that still doesn't prohibit anything from happening. And then we have employees that are depending on us. So I just wanted to know that I may not be saying it correctly because I'm talking from memory, but I know that there's a type of certification that gives them like law, right, that gives them like law enforcement capability.
Right. No, that's not an option.
I don't think they can post, can they?
Yeah, the sheriff told me they could. The sheriff told me they could.
I don't
think.
Let me suggest that if we're going to have a lot of the conversation about security issues, that we do that in executive session. That what I will say is that one of the things you guys did talk about was us looking at security and some of their concerns. We have a security chief that came from the city of Birmingham, and I can go back several years. This is probably the first time we've had a security chief at the level that we have. He was attack commander with the city of Birmingham, has extensive experience and training. And so in looking at the way things were arranged in terms of reporting and that sort of thing, and the ability to get that training done, I think that you'll see some improvement in a lot of aspects of that. But in terms of specifics about it, I'd probably suggest that we talk about that in terms of vulnerabilities more in executive session.
That gives you a good segue. I was going to ask that we table this
Second.
for discussion.
I'll second that, because when we saw this is the first we've heard of it, that we're having a new department. Well, as the finance chair, I've got a lot of questions like, okay, what's the budget look like? What's the number of employees? What's the hierarchy? And again, who they report to, county manager's office, that's a general term, whether they report to Cal or Mr. Jackson, or, that's the questions I would have, so I would second that motion.
So hold on, then let me speak to the motion. So I understand too, since I won't be here, if before you all take an action on this item, I'd like to be a part of it.
Well,
just because
we all would.
No, what I mean by that is that because I'm about to leave, which that's rare, that I do leave before time, I'm asking to be respectfully a part of that discussion, because that's why I brought it up last year, because I do have a concern, and I understand that in this setting, vulnerabilities, certainly we don't want to have in a public setting. But however, I'd like to be a part of that conversation, because I think the questions that you raised are very good. And not only are they financial, there are other questions that I have in terms of where does that now put them? I mean, where do they fall in terms of benefits and everything else? I just want to know everything
And
about it.
Commissioner Abrams is not here, you're leaving, let's just all carry it over.
Yeah, he said he
We'll
don't
do
mind.
that, and then we can have some
Well,
more
they-
discussion.
Well, I think
The
we
other,
have
the
all
other thing is,
those.
is that I was going to ask for an executive session for this meeting anyway. So, of course, it's the pleasure of the commission, but if you would consider carrying that to the agenda or potentially putting on as new business after the executive session, I think we'll
Thursday?
answer. Correct. I think
No,
we'll,
no.
all right, well, I think we'll answer
This
those
needs to
questions
be-
either way, but,
I think this needs to be vetted a little bit more between now and Thursday, especially since we just find this out when it's on the agenda. That should be a upfront discussion with the commission, Mr. Dulles.
That's called your cart before the horse.
We'll carry it over to the next meeting.
All right,
Now, with that said, we have Barry's here now, he's got some,
you've got some people that we were going to
introduce.
introduce that help right. You want to do that now?
Yeah,
Or do
just
we-
do it.
What we're doing now, we're losing all decorum for this meeting. We're jumping around, okay? So I'm going to, let's restore decorum. Commissioner Knight.
Mr. President?
Commissioner Knight.
Okay. Mr. President?
Commissioner Knight.
Okay. We're not jumping decorum. I took an item off the agenda, and as a commissioner, I had a question. And so-
that's- was it answered?
Okay. No, well, the answer is we're gonna address
There you
it in
go.
executive session. But please don't say that we jumped all over the agenda, because I reserve the right as a part of my report to ask for questions.
Had we
Mhm.
gone to what he was required next, it would have got the agenda.
Well, maybe because I wouldn't be here, that's why I asked.
Yeah.
And I made it a point to say why I asked. It wasn't to question his authority, it meant I would not be present. And rather than hearsay, Mr. President, I chose to allow him to speak to me directly. And I think that that's courteous. That's a professional courtesy. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank
All right,
you.
now, who's these people you say you want to, that's here, that are they guests?
And by the way,
They're guests.
congratulations
They'll
to
come out
them
on-
too,
they'll
because he
come
did a
out
good
on-
job.
On District 3. They'll come out on mine, right after.
Oh, okay, all right. In my finance, there he is. Okay, he's here, all right. Saved by the bell. All right, Mr. Halsey.
Yes, Commissioner, good morning, everybody. We do have one agreement on the agenda this morning for the Finance Department. This is an agreement with Prague, it's a public investment management company, and also advisory services. But we have normally two contracts that we've been dealing with, in financial advisory services. One of them is Prague, and I think there's another agreement with Terminus that's in the pipeline that will probably be on the next agenda. But we utilize these companies for advisory service. They monitor the capital markets for us, look for opportunities for possible savings on our debt service obligations.
I move 1 through 7.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Commissioner, I'm sorry, but could I add one agenda item this morning to the person?
If you can't, if you get unanimous consent.
Hang on, let me get this second and move. Ms. Tyson, would you second 1 through 7? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mr. Holster, you got something? you want-
Yes, sir, I'm sorry. This is something that's a little time sensitive. I apologize. I just had to bring this forward, but I need to add one item to the purchasing agenda. This is a purchase order from MyreCord. They actually print tobacco stamps. They're a sole source provider for this, but in order for the county to obtain our tobacco tax money, we have to actually print the stamps ourselves, then we're reimbursed by the state of Alabama. But we're running low on inventory for these particular stamps, and they will not process anything until they actually get it on until they get an actual PO. So if we wait till the next commission meeting, it's going to cut us a little short, I guess, on our time frame. But if it's possible, I appreciate your consideration to add this one item.
I move for unanimous consent to add one item.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, we have a motion to add an item for unanimous consent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, do I have a motion to
I
adopt
move
that?
that.
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Get them stamps. All right.
Yes, sir, that's all we have this morning, just the normal purchasing. There's no major discrepancies in any of those issues. It's pretty well standard operating procedures. We have the travel items. We do have one budget amendment this morning, Commissioner. It's just a small item for $77 to increase revenue expenditures for reimbursement that they received from the City of Birmingham for the EMA department.
Okay, do I have a motion on the budget items 1 and 2?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. General Services, CMH Architects. Birmingham Jail Lock.
Yes, sir, I have one agreement. This is for the jail lock replacement system. This is a professional services agreement for $240,000 estimated cost.
It's for, and this is for the Birmingham Jail. We've already done the Bessemer, right?
Yes, sir, we completed Bessemer last year, and this is for the Birmingham jail system upgrade for all the locks.
All right, General Services, do I have a motion on the Birmingham Jail Lock system? Have a motion?
You know, that's just for the architect?
Yeah,
That's just for the architect.
that's the architect.
Yeah, the project's like 2-something million. That is budget. Yeah, it ain't cheap. That's that, I had the same concern.
You gotta keep them in now.
You gotta just, you have a second. I'll second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Yeah, it's pricey, but this is something that as I understand, the present locks by the inmates who know more about it than any locksmith ever.
You hit it hard enough, it'll pop through.
Or you can.
You sound like you got experience.
I was over there this week.
Inside or out?
Inside. I was inside.
Did you get your time served?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, Personnel Board is an acknowledgement for Bradley Rent, attorney for legal service, $25,000. Have a motion?
Right.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Treasurer, we got a resolution approving the depository banks. I don't have that list.
I didn't get it either. I'd like to
I
see
got
it.
it.
Well, may I see it?
It may be in the backup, I just hadn't seen
It's in the
it.
back there.
Okay. I don't think it's anything different, but I hadn't seen it, so. Thank you, Mr. Tyson, for taking care of us.
Gotta keep an eye on this money. But District 2 can get some.
I need to take a double look at it.
Yeah.
I think we've seen,
Like everybody gets.
I think we've seen that list.
They just added one bank since we've been here.
Who'd you go to?
Citizen Federal.
Citizens Trust.
It used to be Citizen.
Okay. All right. Motion on the resolution.
So moved.
Have a motion. Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I have a community infrastructure grant for an amount of $10,000 to assist the, have a motion. We have before you infra grant application. This allows us as the county to make a application for infra grant, which is a supplementary grant to the ASHD, money for funding on the Northern Beltline.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That concludes my report.
Okay. Administrative and Infrastructure Committee, I'm going to yield to Mr. Jackson, who is going to present some folks.
Yes. First of all, let me get the chief up with his personnel so they can get out of here. Chief, you can introduce you.
Yeah, come up here.
Come up
Rodney.
front.
He can real quick. Whatever it was. Get a camera. Take a picture of it.
Don't be getting all this folks glory.
Morning, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute to recognize a couple of my officers, Officer Damian Zolik and Officer Cherokee Jackson. On the 29th of January, Birmingham Police Department was chasing a suspect over here they ended up in our parking deck. They were chasing this guy because he was harassing women in the area, and they ended up getting in a foot chase, and he went into our parking deck. Officer Zolik and Officer Jackson both observed this through our monitor system, which responded. When the officers were able to actually catch up to the guy, he began fighting both of the officers. There was two officers. We all know how hard it is right now for the police officers all over. What I wanted to commend them for, when they saw that, they ran from our building all the way to the parking deck and assisted these two officers. The two officers even said, without their assistance, they don't know what would end up happening. So, as a former Birmingham police officer, I want to thank y'all personally, because I know there's moments when you're struggling with somebody and you don't know what's about to happen. It could go either way really bad. And without their assistance, this could have turned out bad for the officers or for the suspect. Luckily, they were able to jump in and assist, and everything turned out fine.
Thank you, Chief. Would you guys like to say anything?
You get 10 minutes.
Yeah, sure, I'll say something. Yeah, I'm sitting up here and I'm listening to all this political stuff and yeah, all this back and forth, and it's all good, but the world's in a lot of pain. It's a crazy place right now, but seeing this all together here and how far our society's come, we're really not that bad off, honestly. And the paperwork's great, but it's your heart, and we just gotta take care of each other. And I came up with the commissioner with some complaints, and I'm literally, we both did. We're the lowest guys on the totem pole, and the fact that we can just walk in the door and speak our minds is just a really, really cool thing. And I just want to say thanks, and I appreciate it.
Again, good morning to everyone. I would like to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to come before you all. Like he said, the world is in bad shape and it's not as bad as we think. Again, thank you to Commissioner Tyson for listening to us. He said we're on the lowest total pole, but it's not about that. If I had to do it again, because of what's inside of me, I would do it again. I did not think about my life or anything. I just immediately thought about what was going on. Again, without the pay, without the money, without anything, if I had to do it again, I would do it, because that's what we're here for, is to look out for one another. Outside of being here, I do teach, and so it's a lot that I do, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here at the county. Again, I work under good management with Chief Kennemer, also Senior Officer Kimball, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and if I have to do it again and again and again, I will do it. And so again, thank you for giving us the opportunity to stand before you.
Thank you all.
Hang on. Can you demonstrate what you have?
Next time I have on some nails, I was really thinking about it.
In our discussion preliminarily, I didn't even realize y'all were here, but it has nothing to do with y'all. This is just about stuff like that. No, we're grateful for you. And every morning when I pull in, I see a smiling face waving, and they know who's coming in and who's leaving. So thank y'all. We appreciate you.
And they carry guns, and the bailiffs upstairs with the judges, they don't carry them.
Well, that's understandable.
So,
Yeah, you know they were before.
yeah.
Well, you get it taken away.
Right.
Okay, next we'd like to bring up Director Frank Martin, Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority. As I noted at the last meeting with Melinda's report, we thought it was a good time to bring the administration up and talk to us a little bit about transit and their operations. Frank?
Okay, thank you, and good morning, and thanks for the invitation to come back. I think I was here last year, already around the same time. So, this is what we're going to cover this morning. It's going to be quick, but I want to kind of go back and talk about the municipalities that we serve, our existing services, the enabling legislation, which is very, very key and critical, something that going forward we will be maintaining. Talk about the budget calendar. We're going to give you a financial update. Lynn Bickerson, our Director of Finance. We talked briefly about the pilot that went into effect June last year and is continuing. We're very, very pleased to have the cooperation with BHCTA and Jefferson County. External connections, we'll talk about that, and also going forward what it looks like for the Transit Authority. To me, this is a very impressive slide. It shows the communities that we serve. The name of the organization is the Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority. It's not Birmingham Transit, it is inclusive. Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority. These are the cities and the communities that we serve. Very, very significant. Just to kind of give you a refresh in terms of the level of services that we provide. We have the Birmingham Central Station, which is our primary hub where all the buses come in, and we have transferring between routes, fixed route, and also paratransit. Paratransit, the service we provide, we are mandated by the federal government to provide complimentary service to our fixed route service for those persons that have disabilities. Magic City Connector, operating from uptown to downtown Homewood. We actually have a number of passengers that are driving in, parking in downtown Homewood, and taking the Magic City Connector to connect with UAB. That's very, very critical as we begin to talk about mobility management, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, this is going to play a very important role for the World Games coming up in 2021. Microtransit. You probably heard a lot of talk about microtransit over the last year. We were able to work with the city of Mountain Brook as opposed to providing a 40-foot bus traveling through Mountain Brook, which has been going on for a number of decades. We're now utilizing microtransit where our passengers come into Central Station and they transfer to a smaller vehicle and take them to a specific address in Mountain Brook. The enabling legislation. I think Linda probably gave you an update on that in the last meeting, but I really want to kind of highlight, again, some of the timelines that are included in that legislation. And these are timelines that have never been adhered to. Last year, we had our first workshop where we invited all of our municipalities to come in, where we initially gave an update and educating those that were not that familiar with these regulations. And I promise that going forward, it is our goal to adhere to these guidelines. So I will constantly be talking about this, every opportunity that I get, because I think that it's very, very important. The legislation is there. Yes, it may have been ignored, and that may have created some of the issues that the authority has had in recent years, but collectively, it's not just the transit authority, but collectively, our participating governments, cities and counties have not been adhering to this. So going forward, we need to make sure that we are adhering to it. More importantly, March 1st. March 1st, we should be getting information from all of our communities in terms of the level of service that they would like to see us provide in their jurisdiction for the upcoming year to help us prepare the budget. Again, not being adhered to. By May 1st, we should have our annual budget finalized. If we get the information on March 1st, We already started the budget process in early, like January. So by May 1st, we should have a budget that we can then circulate to our members, getting a buy-in. Again, this is something we have to adhere to. Budget review by May 15th, certifying the routes. And I see something may be looking into, oh, I didn't realize that all this is included in the legislation. That's why we're constantly going to be providing this information and sharing this information so that everyone clearly understands and knows what the legislation says. So this is the timeline we have identified in terms of coming up with the 2021 budget year. Okay? We are really trying to drive this process home. Last year we got a kind of a late start because when I first came on board, it was fully understanding the financial condition of the authority. We did not have a financial director when we first came on board. So when Glenn Newsom came on board, we started to roll up our sleeves and really dig deep. And luckily we were able to get things turned around, and from a budgetary standpoint, have the budget finalized and presented to our board. So this is going to be the timelines for developing the budget. This is a kind of different look with the specific timelines identified on the map. And then this is, again, running down all of the requirements. Now, the last item here, September 30th is the end of our fiscal year. On March 1st, we are to engage an auditing firm to come in to audit our books and have the audit report finished within 90 days. So by December 31st, the audit is complete. When I first came on board, we had fiscal 17 that was sitting in the corner. I asked the question, what are these, reports? Called the auditors. So we're just waiting for an invitation to come in to present our own audit. So it was very delayed. As a matter of fact, they were prohibited from coming in, doing some initial work in order to start the audit. Then once they completed the audit, the reports were sitting in the corner and the board of directors did not receive information. That has definitely changed. So, fiscal 18 and 19, we are currently wrapping up. I will be presenting to the board on March the 4th, 2 years, fiscal 18 and fiscal 19. So at that point, we'll be caught up. We intend this year to make sure that we start the audit on October 1st, and it will be completed by December 31st. That's our commitment.
Let me ask you a question on that slide right there, if I may, Mark. You got BJCTA's deadline to submit a written budget for the new fiscal year to each municipality. Is that each participating municipality?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the next item says you got a deadline to provide written notice to reduce the budget by Birmingham, but do you offer that same extension to those other participating municipalities? In other words, you're giving Birmingham a right to evidently counter whatever y'all propose, but I don't see where you're giving the other cities that's participating the same opportunity.
Yeah, the enabling legislation said the largest municipality has that right.
Okay.
Only the largest.
But not the others.
Not the others.
But also what's important here is that in the legislation talking about the participating city, which is Birmingham and the county, 80% of our services is within the city of Birmingham. They also have the right, as we modify service, to agree to the level of services that we'll be modifying, reducing. Okay. But again, these are timelines that have never really been adhered to, and we're constantly trying to make sure that they are aware.
But they weren't adhered to by the municipalities, the county, or you all?
All of the above.
Yeah.
And that's by legislation for Birmingham.
ahead.
So if it's a problem, and we need to be trying to go to Montgomery, you say so?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wanna make sure we get that straight.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Glenn to step up and kind of walk through the financial.
Good morning. I've been told that I'm a little long-winded, so I'll try to be brief. This is our building blocks for the budget, and it's driven by the enabling legislation. Mr. Martin just told you that March 1st we're to receive from the different cities their level of service. Based on what we receive, we determine then what our operating expenses will be. Because based on the level of service, we have to pay operators, we have to buy fuels, etc. So that drives that number, $32 million. And this is what's in our 2020 budget. In addition to that, we also have to buy rolling stock and renew our rolling stock each year to some degree because less will wear out. So based on what we're operating, we determine each year what our capital expenditures are. Now we'll talk a little bit about that more in a minute because the county, through their sales tax, helps determine what the local match will be in funding that $2.2 million that we're spending on capital expenditures. And then you see at the top here, there's $500,000 we call pass-through expenses. That's money that we collect on behalf of other transit agencies like Class Train. So the money comes to us from the federal government. We just pass it through to some other sub-recipients. Now you'll notice here that these are our expenses. It's driven by the request for service from the municipalities. And you see here that we're about at $34 million in expenses. So the question is, how do we pay for that? Where do those funds come from? How do we get $34 million into our coffers to pay this cost? So the first thing we do is we look at passenger fares. Passenger fares, now our fare box recovery ratio is only about 7%. So we don't get a lot of money from passenger fares. As you can see, if it's costing us $34 million to do this, we only get about $2.3 million from passengers. And that's pretty typical for an urban city and for locations that use cars a lot. You'll find that that's not abnormal. We're also getting $6.7 million in ad valorem taxes from both Jefferson County and the city of Birmingham. So that's 6.7. So what we're trying to do is build up to $34 million, right? Because we got to have a balanced budget. $2 million from beer tax. Beer tax, you all know, we get $2 million a year from the county for beer tax. And then the Jefferson County sales tax from this refunding school warrants, we get $2 million a year from this. And of course, some of this money is going to help fund the capital expenditures that we're projecting to have to spend. And then federal grants, we get money from the federal government for operating capital. And of course, I talked about the pass-through money. You can see that the pass-through $500,000 is the same there. But we're getting money for operations and capital, some from the federal government. Because the federal government normally contributes about 80% of the cost of our capital expenditures. So we're able to draw down about, for all the buses that we buy, rolling stock, et cetera, the federal government gives us 80% of that. So then we have a deficit here. You can see that we need $34 million. We only got about 22. So we have a $12 million gap. That $12 million gap is then charged to the municipalities that we serve. So that's how we come up with what we're charging the municipalities, because we have to balance this budget, and it's taking $12 million to do so. Now, based on that $12 million, we come up with an hourly rate, because based on these services, we came up with the number of hours it's going to cost us, take us, to provide the services that the municipality is requesting. And we just say, simply divide that $12 million by the number of hours, and we come up with an hourly rate. The hourly rate we came up with for 2020 is $82.36. This rate here. That's how we come up with the rate to charge. Now, this is a historical perspective of the hourly rates. And you'll see that in 2014, it was $47.90. And it's been steadily rising because the cost of providing the service has been rising. We have union contracts that we have to give annual raises to our operators. They're in the union, they negotiate that. And just the cost of living increases. So as you can see here, in 2014, it was $47.90. It got to $73.96 in 2017. It stayed about the same in 18. But in 19, you'll notice that it dropped to $54.19. When we got there, we were sort of puzzled about how did that happen, what caused that rate to go down. And what we realized after we dug into some things, that there was an error made in doing the budget and computing the rate, because you normally don't see that drastic of a drop in one single year. That cost the agency money because we were actually providing service to municipalities at a lower cost, and it was a lower rate than it was costing us to provide those services. So now the rate is back up to $82.36, and we talked about how we got that rate there. Now, Jefferson County tax from the refunding school boards says that you all are to provide us for $2 million a year for the next 10 years. I think we're in the third year of that now, and then it drops to $1 million a year. We agreed, one mandated, but we agreed to use that money to match our federal share of money so that we can take your $2 million and turn it into $10 million. And we weren't required to do that, but we agreed to do that, and we're satisfied with that. But this chart here shows where your money was spent. Now, of course, we spent more than your $2 million as a local match, but it shows that preventive maintenance of our fleet, we used 1.5 for that. The total federal share was $6 million, total cost $7.5. But this shows how the $2 million that you gave us has been used and allocated for fiscal year 19. And we agreed to provide you this information annually so that you can see how your dollars are being spent. I think this may be my last slide, but Mr. Martin talked about the pilot program that you all started back in June to fund the cities that you see here where they didn't have transit services for several years. And of course, we appreciate that, and I know they do too. These are the hours that we're providing for the next year. That pilot program was for 6 months. This is for the entire year. That's going to cost $350,000 at that $82.36 rate to provide the services. So that this 4,200 hours times 82.36 comes to that $350,000. The county agreed to give us $250,000 to fund some of that. We saw that it was good to have the cities actually contribute themselves because they wanted the service. They should actually have to pay a portion of that, although they couldn't afford to pay the whole $350,000. We appreciate it, they do too, the $250,000 that the county decided to give to them. But I do want to point out that there's still a gap of $48,000, almost $49,000, where we're providing the service that hopefully somewhere we come up with those funds. Maybe that's a hint. So, but anyway, well, questions will be later. So thanks a lot.
In order for us to provide an effective and efficient service to the community, we also need to have external relationships. This past Friday, we hosted the Jefferson County delegation. It was a very, very good meeting. I think the county delegation will be starting to reinstitute a program they've had over the years. Many questions tonight you were there. on Friday. Also with Mr. Jackson. I talked about the enabling legislation workshop that we had back in 19, with the mention, and also the Jefferson County Mayor's Association. Very, very critical, very, very important that we go out and we talk to our community. The state of the authority. This is kind of what we had when we walked in a little over a year ago. So the previous administration and current administration. The non-adherence to the enabling legislation. We're taking action to adhere. But we all know there was an atmosphere of mistrust within BJCTA. So we are cultivating relationships and we're building community partners. The miscalculation that Glenn talked about. Making sure that going forward, we are doing the appropriate things to identify the appropriate level of funding. BJCTA was underfunded for 3 consecutive years by our largest funding partner. To the tune of about $5 million per year, about $15 million of that. We increased the fares from $1.25 to $1.50. In the past 39 years, the fares for transit only increased 3 times. There's not a good or service that we all consume that has only increased 3 times in 39 years. So traditionally what transit authorities do when they develop their budgets annually, take a snapshot and determine what is the effective fare that they should be charging the community. Most agencies do it every year, some do it every 3 years. The authority had not been doing that. So we will be doing that. As a matter of fact, my original proposal to my board was to take it from $1.25 to $2. They said, whoa, Frank, that's too much. So they agreed to $1.50. I will say that we'll be addressing that again for the next fiscal year, so that it should go, in my professional opinion, from $1.50 to $1.75. Okay? And then the agency was content with the status quo. Going forward, we need to rethink the role of public transportation in the region. So going forward, we will be transparent. We'll be very open and direct and honest with how we do business and our books. We will be developing a strategic plan. We recently had what we call a triennial review, which is a process that the federal government does every 3 years. They hire a bank of consultants to review every single transit authority in the country. There are about 45 self-certifications that we have to certify when we get a federal grant. So every 3 years, they'll bring a team of consultants in to make sure that we have been adhering to their guidelines that we said we would actually adhere to. Over the past 3 cycles, 39 deficiencies, went from 39 to 16, and the very recent one we had last year, only 2 discrepancies. That speaks volumes in terms of the things that we're doing to make sure that we are being accountable. The Birmingham Express, the BRT, is going to be a game changer for this area when it comes online in 2022. Originally, the plan was to have it complete prior to World Games. That's not going to happen. And let me just make a point here. The BRT project was a project that the city applied for through a national competitive process, and they won. So it's a city-driven program. At the end of the day, when everything is built, it would come over to the BJCTA to maintain and operate. Okay, so it was a city decision to not have the World Games as a major point. And that's going to be a game changer because we'll have a 10-mile corridor with buses running every 15 minutes during the peak period, 30 minutes during off-peak. That means that we have to modify our entire system so that the BRT will run efficiently. Max Direct, we talked about that. With Mountain Brook, we'll probably see that expand in other areas. Some of the unincorporated areas within the county may be able to work and have a micro transit type project. I realize that economic development is very critical, very important. Access to jobs, this could be one way that we can identify transportation solutions for those individuals that do not have access to transportation. Transit Development Program. It's my intent, we have a bank of consultants we'll be hiring in the next 30 days. We need to have a 5-year transit development program. So annually, as we update this TDP, the first year will be the base for us developing our annual budget. New maintenance facility. We currently have a facility that is deplorable. Okay? Built in 1967, when 8th Avenue and 31st Street floods, water comes into our yard, and in some cases all the way into the pits. We are actively pursuing locations where we can have a facility on a temporary basis, as well as looking for a permanent location. Very, very critical and very, very important when we look at the intermodal center and the central station and compare that to the 8th Avenue property. We need to make sure that we have a state-of-the-art facility for our mechanics to maintain and operate our buses. Transit-oriented development. As a result of the BRT line coming on board, identifying opportunities for transit-oriented development to try to develop a revenue stream coming into the authority. Comprehensive operational analysis. We have a firm that will be coming in, taking a snapshot of everything that we're currently providing, and then making recommendations on the level of services and the frequencies of those services that we'll need to be providing over the long term. So this is going forward what I call from public transit to mobility management. At the end of the day, it's about moving people. How can we effectively move people, citizens in this area? The transit is not the only way. First mile, last mile, Uber, Lyft, bike share, car share, all of that. I'm looking at some point to have a very robust app that you'll be able to plan your trip and pay for a variety of transit services, transportation services on one app. I would like to see the BJCTA become the mobility manager for the region to coordinate all of those related services. With that, thank you for your time. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I know you said you was looking for somewhere to build a repair shop. Brighton is open for business. Right by the expressway, nice location. If y'all, I'll take you out there.
Okay.
I do have a question.
And she'll pay for it.
Yes, we better go.
County.
Yes, sir.
And you're talking about rate increases and having to go up on the rates. Have you considered the elasticity of demand as you pondering these rate increases?
Absolutely. There's an old model called the Simpson Curtin model that looks at elasticity, and every time you go up in fare, there'll be a drop off in ridership.
Ridership goes down.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the other way? Have you looked at, you've got $1.50 and you have 10 riders, if you count them on the bus, that's $15. If you drop that to $1 and picked up 30 riders, you've doubled your revenue with the same fixed cost and variable cost. So that's how elasticity works. Perhaps you should lower the prices on a trial period and see how many people you get to get on the bus. and then if it doesn't work, you can go back to your old model of raising.
Well, that's going to be pretty tough since they got a 13% increase over 2 years in operating and then a 35% increase over 5 years in your operating expenses. So that'd be kind of tough to lower those fares. And
it's tough to lower the fares. Mr. Dixon talked about the fare box recovery ratio is around 7%. Okay. most transit agencies, based upon their local policy, local public policy to support the system, have a dedicated source of funding. If we had a dedicated source of funding in this area and not have the array of tax measures that we currently have, if there was a commitment at large from all of our participating governments
Right.
for, don't kill it, sales tax, gas tax, whatever is the appropriate taxing mechanism to fund the system, to provide the level of service that this area really needs. So by making adjustments, either lowering it, you can do that, but you still need to have money to fund the overall system, okay? So professionally, I would not want to recommend lowering it because it's not going to move the needle in terms of the fair loss recovery ratio that much. You need to have, more importantly, that commitment from the elected officials to support public transportation. Now, over the years, and I have worked on transit properties where the fair loss recovery ratio in some cases was, 35, 40%. Okay? Or when I was in California, we had a 1.75% sales tax to support the system. And they had 11 or 12% fair loss recovery ratio. But collectively, if all of our participating governments, including the county and cities, were to agree that we need to have a viable public transit system, and let's identify what is the appropriate way to fund it.
And I don't think that 25-cent increase is really stopping anyone from riding transit. It's availability on places that they need to go, where we really can't afford to take them because the finances and the support from the local government, whether it's county or city and federal government, is not putting money into transit. We can go to those routes. I think that has a lot to do with it. And you have to look at the other municipalities that in other states that has a successful transit. It has a lot to do with the parking and the availability of parking and how cheap parking is and where transit take you. Is it going to take you to areas that we're not covering now? And I think that has a lot to do with having people to pay $1 is not. That has nothing to do with people not riding trains.
The average transit fares around the country anywhere from $1.75 to $2.50. So we're way behind. In
DC is $3.50. I just rode transit down there when the county sent me. Trying to save $2 a day.
Yes, sir.
And, there's two ways to do it, and we're gonna move on. You got something?
Yeah. I was intrigued with your riders from Homewood to UAB. How many riders do you have? What is the cost to them, and where do they park in Homewood?
Cost is 30 cents. I don't have the actual number that are riding. But they're parking in downtown Homewood. There's free parking that's available in the downtown area.
No wonder I can't ever find a parking place.
Let me just say about UAB. For the last 8 months or so, I've been trying to get the appropriate person at UAB to have a conversation about a collaboration. I finally got a call a couple of weeks ago. I'll have a meeting next week. It's my intent to see how we can develop a very strategic partnership with UAB. And it could be a transit pass where they pay on a per capita basis for all their students, faculty, and staff. They have unlimited rides on transit. We can get an upfront payment from them. I've seen that work in several cities. Richmond, Virginia, for example, have a similar program, and also Silicon Valley. So that's just the beginning of the type of partnerships that we're beginning to develop.
What about this new concept about where you call somebody and y'all go pick them up and take them wherever they're going to go? Now, I know that's probably a competitor or a coming competitor to the mass transit picture, but I think there's a pilot going on here, where if I need to go somewhere, instead of going out and standing on the street and waiting for however long and then catch a bus and then go over here and catch it over here, you call this or get that app and they come pick you up. Sort of like an Uber, but except it's a kind of a mass transit. Are you in a position to offer that kind of service, or is that your competitor and y'all don't even want to talk about it? Or, I mean, where are y'all on that concept? Because that seems to be a common thing.
It is a process that is really evolving. It's called microtransit. The relationship we have with Mountain Brook was our first entry into that space. The city of Birmingham has a VIA program, I think 6.2 square mile area. That's currently a pilot. Not sure what's going to happen at the end of the pilot, when I heard that the foundation may not be supporting that going forward. But some people initially in transit saw all these programs as disruptors. Okay, I think it's an opportunity. At the end of the day, how can we move people? Okay, how can we move our citizens and our residents throughout our area? So if we can identify a VIA or a translot that we work with for our homeward service, that could be an extension of how we better serve our community. So we are embracing it, and you'll see us become very, very active and maybe have conversations with the county in terms of some of the unincorporated areas that are not being served, how we could potentially serve those areas.
Because if you stick a pin in it, they only go so many miles out from downtown as the central location. They are not coming into Hillman Gardens or to Bessemer and to the areas where transit pick up people anywhere. They pick up and they move bodies, and this system don't. It's only certain areas that they are coming into.
And the interesting fact about the current VIA program is that the #2 destination is our intermodal center. It's our central station. So folks are riding VIA, they're being picked up, and they're coming to Central Station. And these are facts that the city just released in their recent transportation committee meeting.
Why? Why?
They're coming to transfer to our system.
Okay.
Don't go all over the city.
Yeah. Well,
certain radius.
that makes sense,
Thank
but
you,
it's
sir.
only a
Okay.
6 mile
Thank you,
square.
it's a pleasure.
All right, let's go back to the,
Where are we?
we beginning my report now.
Okay.
Have roads and transportation, Terracon consultants, Grants Mill Road, you want to do it, Cal, you want me to do it?
Yeah, that is a time extension for the geotech work on that project.
I'm gonna move 1 through 12.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, yeah. County attorney, we have sewer backup claim, we have accrued vacation and sick leave for healthcare authority transfers. Congratulations, good job. Minutes from the February the 6th meeting, minutes from, these were overlooked, minutes from the May 10th, 2018 meeting, which is the previous commission.
I got a question.
And minutes from the May 9th meeting. If you have a question, address them to minute clerk and county attorney.
County attorney, I don't feel comfortable voting on anything back in 2018. I wasn't here, and I'm not comfortable with that.
Well, you can abstain on the vote.
Okay,
Yeah.
I pulled that one out.
Well,
You just abstain on it when it comes to the agenda
Right.
for a vote.
Yeah, we're just moving it.
Okay.
Let's move this to the agenda
We
and then
move
we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair will entertain a motion.
1 through 5, move it.
That-
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Sheriff has a NICB vehicle use agreement. There's no funds involved. Good job.
Move.
Yep, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Go ahead.
Tony has asked to remove the resolution establishing the Department of Security. We've had our presentation. I have District 3 other business. I have community grants.
1, 2, 3, move.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Like to turn this up.
A couple of things. Friday, we met with the employees at Cooper Green, and we had an excellent meeting. Went over the benefits package that the employees will receive at Cooper Green. It was very well received, and so we were very excited about the enthusiasm of the folks. Everybody here, if you notice, Justin Smith's not here today, and I hate that I lost him today. I'm going to lose him for several days in the future. But yesterday, Amanda and Justin had a little baby boy, and if you look at the screen, hopefully it'll come up. There it is. So Justin's
Thank goodness it doesn't look like him.
He looks pretty excited.
He does, but the baby. Like this, the baby.
The baby like, really?
But anyway, Justin's going to be out several days over the next several weeks, and I'm sure going to miss him. And I think some of your staffs, commissioner's office, who come down, going to miss him too. But anyway, I just want to say congratulations to Amanda and Justin for a beautiful baby boy born yesterday.
Yep. With them kids, you got them. You got them.
Yep, they're there. I guarantee you. Commissioners, before I end my report, I gave each of you a copy of the Department of Health updated budget. If there's any questions, we'll be happy to have that. Talk to county attorney about our food train legislation. That's something that I believe Kyle South and Rod Scott are going to co-sponsor. And what that does no more than give those of you who didn't have the opportunity to read it, gives the county commission the ability to tax income of solid waste. It doesn't require that, but it gives us, should it become necessary, the county attorney, the county commission, the ability to tax.
But do they legally have the right to bring it here? I mean, there's no
prohibition. What the ADM did, ADM put regulations on it, that you had to do certain things to get it here.
Yeah.
But it didn't go far enough. There was an article, I think ABC had an article, I saw it on my Facebook scroll where Etowah County was having trouble with it. So,
North Birmingham and over there on the west side, because they kept leaving it on the track.
Yeah,
And stinking up the whole neighborhood.
this is something it'll be a bipartisan bill, and there shouldn't be anyone that would be opposed to it except people that are in the landfill property.
So we need a cost, all right, let's see, $50 for 5 cc's of urine, $3 a turd. We can make something.
We can de-incentivize it, or we can do it. And I think the proceeds.
Bring the train.
Yeah, the proceeds go to the solid waste program. Okay? So it's going back to the place from whence it came. Isn't that right, Cal?
Yes.
The proceeds are going back to the solid waste program. So what goes around comes around. So we, I had something else, but we jumped around so much I don't know where it was. Anyway, that concludes my report, and Commissioner Cox, we say the best for last.
Community development and human resource services, Dr. Lauren.
For Cooper Green, we just have the grant, which is all of those grants, a pass-through grant from feds through UAB to us, where it's adding money from carryover last year's money, and then they've added a little additional money from this year's money, so almost $100,000.
I second it, but we only have 4 months left to spend it. Will it transfer to the healthcare authority?
They're working on the transfer and how to do that right now.
Okay.
Whether it'll just fall under UAB or whether we'll still have our own contingent or not. But we actually think we can spend it before June.
Okay.
It's been first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Dr. Hamilton?
Good morning,
Community Service.
Good morning, Commissioners. The first item on the agenda is with Centel Engineering for the Pewtertown Storm Shelter Amendment Number 1 for observation and inspection during the construction period, and we're extending the project out to September. The project is about a month ahead of schedule, and so we hope to finish it on time.
Are they gonna put a backup generator in there?
They'll have a generator.
Will they have a backup to a backup to a backup generator, Doc? I don't wanna see no more backups to the backups to the backup. Don't make sense.
Okay. First light is a resolution for the Commission President to execute a CDBG Public Service Agreement with First Light. First Light provides emergency shelter and permanent supportive housing for women with mental illness. Number 3 is a resolution for child care resources in the county. It's also coming out of our CDBG Public Service Funds, and this will be direct payments for child care costs for low and moderate income families. Number 4 is an agreement with the county and Latham Associates for the mobile storm shelter that we'll be paying for out of our CDBG funds. The cost of these fees are for architectural design, construction, observational inspection, and closeout services.
Is that gonna be one of the Taj Mahals?
No, this will be, it will not, it'll be a prefab facility, similar to what was done over in Oak Grove. Number 5 is another agreement with Latham and Associates for the general fund storm shelters. This resolution authorizes the Commission President to award to Latham and Associates a contract for architectural design, construction, observational inspection, and closeout services associated with the storm shelters for the county in the amount of $73,000. We're anticipating that there will be 5 of these storm shelters, and we put a variable cost of up to $17,190 per shelter, just in case we need an ADA review, a peer review of the design, a survey, a phase 1 as required. The total cost of that contract is $158,950. The next one is with Girls Inc. It's a resolution authorizing the Commission President to execute a CDBG public service agreements with this organization. This will provide after-school care and exposure to STEM for girls that live in low and moderate income families. And the last one is an agreement with C.W. Woods Contracting Services for the Brighton Community Center. This is to award and execute the contract in an amount of $508,850.
Move 1 through 7.
I have a question on 5.
Yes, sir.
This Latham and Associates for all of our storm shelters is funded with general fund dollars?
Yes, sir.
This is what we've got?
Yes, sir.
I thought we were going to be able to get through some of the red tape, federal red tape. This reads the same way.
Yeah,
I thought we were going to get more bang for our buck. I thought there was going to be more than 5 of them.
Well, that's what we're estimating. It could be more, but we're just estimating for this contract it will be 5. If it's more than that, we'll come back with an amendment.
Are these dollars going to be encumbered for this year so that the projects will get started and be done?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, they'll be done.
They won't be done, but
they'll be encumbered.
They'll be underway. You're
Yes,
going to
sir.
miss this storm shelter, this storm season, but we'll maybe get the next.
And this is a decision that once this Latham and Associate gets the contract, then it's going to be up to us commissioners as to see where those 5 are going to go. Just not somebody else. That's 5.
Right.
Okay. All right, I move 1 through 7.
Second.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I move the family court item. Second.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Now move 1, 2, and 3 on your,
I want, see, you want to do a report, youth services, right?
Yes, Mommy.
Mommy would like to do it.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just briefly wanted to tell you, basically to give you a brief overview. During your next meeting, I will give a 2020 youth detention status update on where we are with detention and the needs of the facility. And so basically what I want to cover with you are the requirements of the state and federal government, and along with the with PREA, which is the Prison Rape Elimination Act, those things in which we have to follow regarding that. Talk to you about the current state of our staffing, the staffing patterns and the shortages that we're having. And we're also seeing more increased residents coming through, and they're staying for a longer length of stay. And one other thing that is going to significantly impact the county and the nation is House Resolution 6964. It is under the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, and it is requiring that all county jails that are holding juveniles that are being tried as adults be returned to youth detention centers around the country. And so it must be done by December 21st of 2021.
that means you've got to house them
Yes, sir.
at the youth detention facility,
Yes, sir.
even though they've been charged with a capital murder or whatever. Where are they doing then? Downtown or at the regular jail, or do we house them there now?
We're housing them at the county jail now, but they'll have to be returned.
Now this is you said it's HR 6964?
Yes, sir.
Has that passed?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, but that's a resolution.
House resolution.
It's gonna pay.
Oh, it's already.
It's already in that, it's already
passed.
in operation.
There's a time period for it.
It gave 3 years for implementation.
Right.
And so President Trump passed it December 21st of 2018, along with the First Step Act.
Has he signed it?
He signed it.
He's on
Yeah.
this. So you're gonna look at more youth actually coming down to the detention center.
And they'll stay there until they,
court
their case is dissolved,
Yeah,
disposed
and you're looking
of.
at some years.
So you're looking at a year,
Some years.
2 years.
2-3 years, especially if it's a murder case, you might look at 45.
They're still subject to bond.
And detention is intended to be a short length of
They're
stay.
subject to
And
bond.
so we
But
are.
it is subject to
lacking
bond.
They're still subject to bond.
A lot
So
of them
what
don't
is
have no
the,
bond. And
and we want to see the stats.
poor, they're poor, they ain't gonna be
That's
poor,
poor.
so they gonna be in it.
How many over the last 5 years?
Wouldn't be had no problem.
I have no problem with them staying, but we
Then
gotta
if the
keep them
county
locked up.
Right,
Yeah.
that would be potentially over.
Yeah, so we have currently collected among all the detention center directors around the state right now.
I don't know about the state, I don't know about.
No, I was
Yeah.
just sharing that we did it for this year because Governor Ivey is going to need to speak to it about the implications for the state and how we move forward as well. So I'll add you the last.
Prison reform gonna have any kind of impact on that?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're only giving us $600,000 to be shared by all 13 detention centers.
So isn't that gonna make you have to have more security?
Absolutely. We have 6 units, 6 housing units, and based on the current staffing, we're only running 4 of those, 3 on the boys' side, 1 on the girls' side, and that's with our current numbers.
How many youthful, what population are we talking about? How many are you gonna pick up?
That's what I asked.
Well, it's going to fluctuate. So at any given time, the sheriff has 5 as of right now, but last summer he had like 12 or 13. So it could change, and based on this increased homicides and this crime wave that we're having, within the last 3 days, 3 of our former inmates were killed, and so it's definitely increasing. And the 15-year-old we have in custody right now.
I think you have some of the perpetrators now.
Absolutely, yes, sir. And the other challenge that we're having is keeping them separated
From the
And
top
so,
of the population.
absolutely, so we're limited in our space. We're limited in our ability to provide additional programmatic services for them, mental health services for them on an ongoing basis. And if you're talking about housing young people for extended amounts of time, it's very important that we address their psychosocial needs as well.
Yeah, well, their psychosocial needs is also subject to, we are going to have a very limited budget going forth too. Because I'm hearing a lot of big asks going to be coming our way in the last few weeks on some of this stuff. But I'm just saying, we're not going to have the ability to expand greatly. So we're going to have to, you know.
You gotta keep them locked in there.
We just have to meet the mandates.
I understand.
Or whatever she need, because they stay over there by me. They get out.
Well, that'd be a deterrent. If they got out, you get them.
No, we just gotta make sure we here.
They can do that.
I'm just saying, you know. Thank you, Monique. Good job. So be ready next week.
I have,
I think I moved 1, 2, 3.
And I seconded it.
That's been first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Anything?
Let's go home. Let's adjourn. Over an hour and a half.